you doing, man?
What's up, Carl?
Um, you know, we've talked a lot and asked you a lot about sort of your transition from a player who, when you were with the Knicks, you touched the ball a lot and on almost every possession on offense and a high usage rate. To an extent, like Russ has seen his usage drop from his peak in Oklahoma City, and obviously playing alongside LeBron, there's just possessions where he doesn't handle the ball as much or might not touch it as much. Do you see Russ, even though he's still a relatively high usage player, going through some of that and sort of experiencing a little bit of what you experienced?
I think it may be a little different. Whereas, he's more of the facilitator. He's more of the head of the snake. He has a ball in his hands. He brings the ball up. He, facilitates the offense. He dictates his flow and the team's flow at times. So with me, it was more somebody bringing it down and then handing it off to me, and then me having to go make a play. So it's a lot different. The mentality, the mindset is similar. The fact that, I'm just saying for what I had to go, only to speak on what I had to go through, it was coming to that, your senses, and saying, okay, things are just not going to be the same anymore. Going to OKC from New York, coming off of an all-star season, like you said, high usage, and teaming up with Paul and Russ and those guys that we had out there. That was the most difficult part at that time for me, because it was new. It was something that I've never experienced before. It was something that I had to figure out. Nobody else was going to help me figure that out. As far as in regards to usage rate and having the ball and being able to, do what you want to do and figure it out as you go on and find your flow and find your rhythm. Those are things that are dictated by others now. So I had to come to grips with that. That was something I had to sit down, and I think being away from the game, for that year and some change that I was away, kind of just gave me a whole different perspective.
Just as a quick follow-up, Russ has talked to us about sort of his role might change night to night based on matchup, based on, who's in the lineup, because the lineup has changed so much. Is there some sort of advice you feel like you impart to him, or does he kind of go through the process on his own of figuring out some adjustments?
I'm sure he goes through the process on his own at times, and he's sitting trying to figure it out and try to, he watched film, he watched the games, he studies it. I'm sure as a player, as an individual, you're gonna sit and figure it out, try to figure it out for yourself. But for the most part, we don't try to let guys figure it out by themselves. We try to, deal with it, whatever's happening. If there is something happening, if you're feeling a way, if you have something on your mind, if you have something that you want to bring to the table, good or bad, that we can correct. If it's bad, if it's good, something that we can, we can kind of implement into the game. So we always talk. We try not to let nobody go through anything by themselves.
Go to Dan.
Carmelo, even though you weren't officially a Laker, well, you weren't a Laker at the time. Did you talk to LeBron about being a teammate of Russell's before he was traded here? Is that a conversation you guys had?
No, we never had that conversation. I've never talked to LeBron, prior to me being here about any other players or situations or things like that.
Having kind of seen Russ be a guy who just does everything. I mean, that's just sort of how he's made his name in this league, is by no better way to say it than just kind of being everywhere. What made you confident that he could adjust to doing less, or at least maybe in percentage wise? You know what I mean? Because you're going to do less around LeBron and AD. What made you think he could do it?
I mean, to be honest with you, it was more about me worrying about what I can do to help this. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't so concerned about, the quote unquote big three. I was more concerned, not concerned, but just trying to figure out what I can do to help those guys, to make it easier for those guys. So it was more of me, trying to figure out what I can do, what I should do, how I should do it, more so than, telling somebody how to do it. Because, at the end of the day, we all got to figure it out. We all have to figure, our roles, or we had to figure out our roles. We had to figure out, playing with different guys. I know from the top to the bottom when it comes to making adjustments. I had to do it multiple times, and I had to do it overnight. So that was something that I feel confident speaking on. I feel confident, giving advice on, because if anybody has done it and dealt with it, it was me. So.
I'll go to Dave.
Hey, Melo. Wayne told us a story the other day when we were talking to him that when you guys were in Vegas for mini camp, LeBron, I don't know if this was just to Wayne or to the entire group, compared your team to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that won the Super Bowl. Was that to the whole group? Have you heard that comparison before?
Yeah, well, we always talk about that. Even before the season, it was, we would sit down and just talk about, who we are, the journey, how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, going through the ups and downs, when we're going to go through the ups and downs. So it was just, kind of preparing ourselves for whatever happens, whatever comes along. And, some of the losses or the streaks that we have when we haven't been playing well, that was also talked about and spoken about, even though, we want to win those games. We want to play well and want to play better. That was something that was also discussed. So I think I don't want to say prepared for those moments and those times mentally and emotionally, but that was conversations that was had.
Do you remember where that happened? Was it at dinner?
I don't remember where, but it's something that's been said a couple of times. In comparison to those guys, from the just from the standpoint of starting off slow and having new guys on the team, new system. Guys trying to figure it out, how to play with, LeBron and AD, and then now incorporating Russ, and just everybody just, figuring out what their role is. And what made it beautiful for the Bucks was that it was, once it came together, and you've seen what happened with that.
And just quickly, is that still something that comparison that gives you some sort of
It's a great comparison. It's a great comparison. It's something that, we look forward to. We listen to it, we hear it. It's a great comparison. I don't think it's something that we think about on a daily basis. We just have, some type of, analogy to compare it to, and what better team and better situation to compare it to than what the Bucks did last year.
Thanks, Mel.
Apologies, everybody. We got
Thank you.
3 o'clock flights.